Hi guys, I'm hiding behind the table because that was the only way um, to make a construction out of my phone. Right, so I came here to have some privacy. I don't know for how long it's gonna take, but yeah, I'm in Poland. I came here after 5 years of traveling and living abroad, and it's not 5 years. I live abroad longer than that, but yeah, last time I was here was 5 years ago, and a lot of things happened. I mean, pretty much every time since I first left home, things would happen, and every time I would come back, it was never ever the same again. Things like big things would happen, and so last time I remember that it wasn't exactly great of an experience. So, I mean, there was a reason why I wasn't there for 5 years, and the reason is not um, the flight prices. So, so what's happening? Basically, my idea was that I'm coming here to retrieve a piece of my soul, to retrieve some memories that I stored at the back of my head, and these memories were in the form of some objects that had a magical value for me for many reasons and in many different ways and contexts. And one of these things were some of these things were books, the books that I read as my first books, for example, the things that influenced me enormously, and I just had very strong memories with these books, which were all very filled with folklore and magic and things, talking to animals and all these beautiful things that I remember, and that kind of more or less existed in my consciousness throughout my life. And fortunately, I did find quite a bit of that first book collection, first library. There was always there was always a love for books that was taught in our home. To the point that actually that at some point this love was more important than actual reading. Especially my father, he was of my parents, he was the reader. My mom had less to do with books, and so he always had this huge libraries full of books. But with years, as he's as he became somewhat less, I don't know exactly how to what to call it. He basically uh, became an alcoholic, and his passions became less sophisticated, let's put it this way. And so the books has become you know less and less demanding, and so did other hobbies and other passions of films, and he would watch. But initially he was this person who would read, and who would leave out books in the house, and who would recommend some titles, and some of these books were really life changing for us. It's really funny to hide like this behind this table. I'm actually sitting on the floor, and yeah, just looking for some light and privacy at the same time. Anyway, so where was I? Books. So yes, there is a very vivid and very important memory of books always being a part of our house. And of course I started reading. I don't even know how. I can't remember anyone reading to me. I remember the moment of writing, when writing was just a bunch of scribbles for me, and I was trying to scribble, and I thought that was writing. That's what you do, you scribble. And that was kind of funny, but I can't remember ever having to learn how to read. I remember so yeah, it was, of course, like I think there were moments like I remember not being able to do it, but I can't remember learning it. It was somehow, it came really easily for me. And then came the writing. But very soon, very early on, I was reading, full books, not only with images, but actually following the story, which was more than just pretty pictures. So yes, I have found some of them, and that's really cool. And I'm probably gonna be very disappointed after I read them again, and I'll be like, that's why I came here. Is that my beautiful magical memory of magical books, magical, you know, um, this kind of story that inspired my life as a witch. Or it's no, I'm sure it will be very emotional. But so I'm happy. I'm glad I found these. And the thing is that uh, there's a lot of things about it, but things have been moving around in boxes over the years, and part of it is just something that always would happen, which was basically, as you do, we would, as kids, I mean, me and my brother, would pack things that we no longer played with or needed or wanted at given time. We would pack them and store them in the cellar and cellar basement. What is this thing called? In a block of flats, everybody had their like storage thing. Storage, yeah, maybe storage is best. And so we would put stuff in the boxes, and then Dad would go and put it in the storage. The thing is, so it was like kind of guarded by the adults, especially my father, and that's very symbolic, isn't it? And then the guardian of the keys, guardian of the underground. And then the thing was that these things started disappearing in some kind of magic black hole of the storage. Things would happen, things would disappear. So the last person that who saw them was my father. But he wouldn't know what is in there, probably. He would just know the boxes. Like, here's the box, go and take it to the underground. And he did. And then we would ask, hey, how about we need this box with this and this? And it would never be found again. And that would happen over and over again with many different things. And nobody has seen anything, nobody has thrown anything away. Things would just disappear. And these were things that, there are things that you just know that you wouldn't give away because they were precious. And if they were stored, it's because we didn't want to throw them away. So, and they would be big enough and kind of difficult to throw by accident. And then so many situations like this, and even then when my father started kind of having his own stories and his own missions downstairs, where he would always hide bottles and had his little I don't know, fucking hell, he would be some kind of he would have some kind of gatherings with himself in the cellar, where he would find stock bottles around in very strange places, and we would be finding it. In fact, actually, I found another bottle just now. So they would just he would be hiding these little bottles, these like flat bottles of alcohol and stuff. And yeah, fucked up shit, man. But anyway, so even then it would be difficult to to just throw a box full of stuff by accident. It actually takes some effort to do that, as I fucking see right now. I mean, right now I always knew that it's not the first time, but I just came back from another chapter, another kind of revision, another step. I was looking, whatever. So the point is, the point is, uh, what is the point actually? The point is that things were moving around, so that was one thing. Then my parents divorced was another thing, and then the family flat was had to be given away or something like that, and this stuff had changed places several times, and it's just boxes upon boxes upon boxes and some mysterious bags with unidentified rubbish. And but I had in front of my eyes, like, I know I have a memory exactly of the boxes of the things that I need, that I wanted, that I came here for, which were like this important, this most treasured items from my childhood. And fuck, there are nowhere to be found. So there is this like, but nobody touched anything, nobody thrown anything, but somehow they just don't. So I'm like, so I got a bit pissed off because it's like, you had one job, it's this stuff. But so part of me wants to believe, because okay, there are things that are important for me, that obviously, like, you're gonna laugh and I'm gonna laugh if I find it. I'll be like, okay, I don't need it anymore. This is just a pile of rubbish. I know it wasn't. It was like a silly, it was a collection of stuff. I always would do these things. Like, I had a collection of minerals and shells that I would, find on the beach. And they weren't just like rubbish shells. They were really, really nice, actually. Some even quite expensive, those that I kind of acquired somewhere, and others that I just found. And it was just years and years, every summer, blah blah blah. So not just sentimental, it was more like I was always fascinated by nature and minerals, and I would collect minerals and always either buy them somewhere on this, like now you go to some crystal shop and you get all this. So I did that before it was cool. I did that before I knew I was a witch. No, seriously, but I always did that, and I had like entire box full of postcards, and like my first postcards from Paris and my from London, just shit like that, and but a lot of other things as well that maybe I care less for, but I just kind of know that they should be all together at the same place. Fuck, and they are gone, and it's this kind of awkward, like, right, so I just came here to clean the pile of rubbish that I do not really care about, instead of finding what I was hoping to find before I turned fucking 30, because that was important. That was important. That was a symbol of getting back my memories. This fucking, some good memories that still I remember, still I know that happened, that were not a lie. And now you come back and it's like, nobody knows where they are, these good memories. You see what I mean? It's kind of has a meaning with it as well. And of course, I think that this is not just it's stuff, right? We all die, and it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna just grieve this stuff, and I'm gonna move on. Like, for 10 years, I didn't really need it. I thought about it. I wish I had it. I wish I could show you. That would be really nice, But it's not the end of the world, and people lose more than that. It's but it was very, very kind of emotional for me to just like come here for nothing, and at the same time having to deal with my family that like didn't change at all. And it's not like they're at their worst, to be fair. Like, I know that everybody's trying their best. To talk about my family is another shit show. It's a story, and there's nothing, of course, in my life that isn't a story. And if you know a story, you have to know the backstory, and that's gonna take forever. So that's why I have a fucking YouTube channel, so I can talk to, so so I can get it, get it out, and then maybe be fucking finally over the story, maybe write a new one. But yeah, it's like I know nobody means bad, but they're just fucking toxic, and it feels like it's a bunch of kids, you know. Like after my parents have divorced, I my mother moved back with her mother and her sister, so there's like this what I call a cone of darkness, three witches of Macbeth living together and just reinforcing their loops and their thinking the same kind of habits and patterns from like fucking ages ago, and they just never got out of it. There was nothing. So there are people like I don't hate them. There's people, uh, I just don't. I don't really bother hating anyone, but you just kind of pick your people. And when you're a kid, you don't have a choice. That's just your family. But then when you're an adult, you kind of you can choose how to spend your time with what kind of people. And I never really felt this kind of obligation out of blood you know connection. Of course, like I'm grateful to be alive, to be have been born and stuff, but yeah, but I just don't. I never felt like I'm really a part of any family, and all these little things also kind of reinforce that. There was never really. Oh yeah, I'll tell you maybe some other time. There was never really a kind of like family tradition in a way of uh, passing on something from generation to generation, and then shit happened, and But I feel this family is full of secrets. I feel there's stuff that have not been resolved, and I just kind of carry it on my shoulders. So where was I? Oh yeah, so I was saying that I don't hate them. I don't you know I know they try their best, but everybody gets on your nerves. Like there are people you just can't spend too much time with because you're gonna drive yourself crazy. And I realized that it's like getting pissed off with Alexa. It's like it's ridiculous to get pissed off with AI, but pretty much everyone at some point will just will lose their patience. So it's something like that. And my limit apparently is 44 hours. There are certain things that I don't really feel like I could trigger it anymore like I used to, but there's just like fuck. There was never really an outlet for people to express their emotions. There is this notion of what is nice and good and what is not nice, and what upsets everyone, and you should not upset anyone. I think I have a feeling it especially has to do with not upsetting the great father of the family, my grandpa, who I call Don Corleone. But anyway, so yeah, he's dead. So anyway, so that would be it. So what's happening now? I'm kind of packing whatever I decided that is coming with me somewhere, and oh yes, no, one thing I found. I'm really happy about it. I found my taxidermy turtle, and that is really important. I was wondering where it was, and it was behind some disturbing packages that belonged to my father, that were in the in the in the in the what storage, in the storage. So they were in the storage, and there was my turtle, and you're gonna maybe see it, but it's downstairs. So anyway, there is like a garage full of boxes, and then there is another storage full of boxes, and then there is the other flat that has a garage and a storage and another storage full of boxes, and some belong to my father, who is even less motivated to take his stuff apparently than me. And I just want to set fire to all of this. I feel like my mom is too nice about it, and I just feel like either just kind of fucking get all this shit and drop in his garden and just deal with that, or just like, you take it or we trash it. But it's a lot of work to trash it too, so it's like, okay. Anyway, haven't talked to my dad for 5 years, so more now, 6 years I think. So yeah, I'm just gonna go and deal with these boxes and be ruthless and just chuck half of it away, because fuck that, there's really no end to it. And it's so you just keep you just keep collecting and like giving importance to stuff, which then just weighs you down. And I have like a fucking dust French manicure, and I think that I will never be clean again, because I've been marked by the dust of the past. So there's that. I've been talking for 21 minutes almost, so I am going to stop, because who's got 20 minutes to listen to someone these days? But I'd like to talk more at some point. So I'll be back. Okay, off to the boxes, and I'll be back.